Okay.
Hey, this is Hawkeye, and I'm very happy to be here on the second recorded show for video. And of course, this will also go out in audio. And I will do my best not to be one of those people who keep on referring to, oh, look at this and look at that, when most of the audience can't see without taking the trouble to go to YouTube. But my special guest is Dredscythe, who I've known for some years now. He's been through more iterations than a Diablo PTR, but he is here now. How you doing, Dred?
Hi, how are you? Glad to be here.
I'm doing well, and I was interested in having you come in. Well, first of all, I got to thank you, and again, this is a visual, so apologies, but Dred constructed the new header when I went audio or visual. I needed something a little bit snappier, and so he made this cool looking meter that's above our little headlets. So thank you
Mm-hmm.
for that, Dred.
No, no problem.
And so I'll always like to find out how you got into gaming, and then how did you get into Blizzard gaming?
Okay. So you're asking me a loaded question. I got it. Okay. I will try to keep it short, but get everything. Uh, I guess in a way, thinking about Diablo and stuff, how everyone like has their passion stories, like, oh, I played Diablo 1, Diablo 2. Like, no, I was completely different. Um, like some of the first games, not that I played, but I really loved, and kind of set up my story in a way, was really uh, GoldenEye and Perfect Dark back in the N64 days, back when console wars actually was something, and back when also when console versus PC actually meant something versus nowadays. But that's another story altogether. Um, I mean, I just love Perfect Dark. I especially loved Perfect Dark. I don't know if it's like GoldenEye, but I love GoldenEye, and I especially love Perfect Dark. Those are my two all favorite games because I just loved playing those games with my friends. You know, you call up your friend on a Friday after middle school or high school, be like, "You got your homework done." Sure, and you just get together, play until the wee hours of the night, and then you have a great old time. And then after that, my eldest cousin introduced me. He was the one who introduced me to the Winters World of PC gaming. He got me into SimCity. He got me into a whole bunch of other games that were either one-offs or not. But he got me into StarCraft, and
Here it comes.
StarCraft was my Blizzard forte. I mean, there are other games I played as well, but they can get worked in between this. So StarCraft was my gateway drug into the wondrous world of Blizzard, and I just loved playing it and everything. Except I was a noob and I always cheated through the campaign. Like, yeah, I can't die. I'm gonna pass this thing, unless it was like a timed mission where it's like, oh, this is time, so I actually have to try to pretend what I'm doing. So I played StarCraft a lot. I played with my friends. I got into map making, and those two things combined, that particular point, along with some other stuff, got me into my first set of GeoCities sites. And when I reflect back on my gaming history and my community work are almost in parallel. If there was a game I really loved and I could figure out a way to help the community or just figure out a way to help contribute to it, I lasted so much longer in the game and I have such better memories of the game. So, like for Perfect Dark and StarCraft, for instance, not to go backwards, I had GeoCities websites that I did like simple, almost like what you would expect from like a wiki nowadays. I had those like campaigns, missions, and everything like that. Fortunately, they are lost to the internet because there are no Wayback Machine archives of it. I'm kind of sad. I wish I had them. I do have some of the images saved, and this is going back nearly 2 decades now, so it's going back quite a ways, especially internet years. Um, but also, I took a little absence from StarCraft and I went into Counter-Strike, and I got up with a clan of 20 people. I lasted a lot in that game because I got into map making for that game, which is which was eye-opening because it was like, okay, that got me into Photoshop, that got me into making my own textures for those maps, learning like input outputs for all the source engine. Even though my maps were basically Ice World ripoffs or Scout Knives ripoffs or Playground X ripoffs, I actually did build a GoldenEye complex level and a portion of a facility level in Counter Strike. They were for fun, but it was just something that kept me going in those games a lot more. And then we get into World of Warcraft. Again, everything runs parallel, and I became a mage class leader back in vanilla days, and I helped run a website back then, and I was a guild leader for a short amount of time, helped with a guild merger right before, right.
Oh,
It
oh,
was
oh,
a,
let me catch something you said as you were transitioning.
okay.
Um, that you mentioned being involved in creativity, in creating and community, and that helped you to kind of stay more interested in the games you've been playing.
Yeah.
Can you
Hmm.
comment on that and how that's been important for you?
Yeah. I mean, I can go on, but uh, if you're passionate about something, it's almost like it's part of your human nature to want to do more for it. And I think that's what I do because if I'm bored with something or anything like I could play Diablo, but right now I couldn't really be bothered because it's the end of the season, and even though I'm contributing and everything else, it's the end of the season. Um, but I'm active in the background, with articles and custom Excel sheets and everything, and that keeps me going through the lulls in the gaming. So that's also another component of it all. But I just love being able to do things outside of the game to help the game or help the community because I think it just feeds a certain niche in my soul that I want to do that and I need to do that. I think it's a part of my character, and I think if you personally have that where you love a game or you love a community and you want to contribute, just don't know how, just ask or just see where things may not be and just try to fill those little pockets, and then from there you can only grow. I mean, that's what life is, and that's what I'm attempting to live by.
Okay, excellent. Now I'll let you pick up. You were you were referring to being
uh,
a mage and a guild killer.
uh,
Uh,
um,
I had that experience once. We had a Diablo 2 guild, and we held together till about the first raid happened, and there was dissolution. Some people wanted to go hardcore, some wanted people to be laid back, and it just sort of dissolved there. And
yeah,
Tanaris, I think, is where we died.
uh, yeah. Well, luckily enough, most of the people in the clan that I was guild leader of, that was merging into the other one, there's actually an incentive because when we merged into the bigger guild at the time, that very night we were going to do the first MC run, and it was actually we never got to a boss, but if you remember the layered MC, you go through the first path, and then you make that like abrupt right turn, and then you go down to where people usually get knocked off into like the endless pit of fire falls. That's the only way it can be described. And then you get to the narrow caverns you have to walk through to get to Lucifer, if I remember correctly. That's where we ended our first night because we couldn't kill these sludge beasts or whatever they were fast enough because they had a fast respawn back there, and everything respawned in MC like as far as trash within like 15-20 minutes. So if you didn't get there quick enough to Lucifer, you were kind of screwed. But we ended there, and that was actually considered a good night. And then the second night, we got to Lucy, killed her. We went to the Beast, but because we didn't have trank shots, that was kind of painful. Um, but yeah, we kept at it. We actually did really good. I mean, one of one of our touts that I still hold very fondly, is that it wasn't until our seventh time going after Nixia. So we did it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. It wasn't until our seventh time doing Nixia that we had our first wipe. So we one-shotted it, and then one-shotted it again, one-shotted it again. It wasn't until the seventh time that we wiped once, and then killed our second attempt. And we actually all laughed that we died, because it was like, oh, this was easy. Oh wait, we died? Like, why? It was almost hilarious, and it was like, that was one of my fond moments from back in those days. So fast forward from there until when Diablo 3 was announced, and Sixin and Force were doing their Diablo podcast for Diablo fans at the time, and those two I really credit at the time for getting me like really hyped for Diablo, because I had never played Diablo before that. I really didn't have any indication, because at that point it was World of Warcraft or Diablo, so I picked World of Warcraft at the time, just the way it is. Um, So between them, they got me curious. I'm like, I want to make a website. Like, this actually looks pretty cool. So I built a website in a month, in October. Um, Mr. Bashiak, for those who remember who he is, he was the temporary community manager for the Diablo 3 beta at the time. He took pity on my soul when I reached out to him for beta keys and being a contact. And that actually started my my own personal relationship with Blizzard people that's grown to about a half a dozen people nowadays. And that really set me up for, all the iterations of what started as Diablo Expressions was the first website and podcast, and then went on to Grind EXP, which was a multi Blizzard game website. And then when that went down, I just stuck with Diablo, and that was Scythe and Shield, and that went about 25 episodes. And then after that, I finally decided, you know what? I had enough being the webmaster, the news poster, the original content creator, the forums administrator, the podcast talent, the podcast uploader, the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Like, that's like 15 jobs right there. Like, I've had enough of this. I just want a creative outlet doing my graphics job, and that's when I switched over to BlizzPro. But I'll take a breath and take some water.
Not for long, but so share what BlizzPro is as a platform.
BlizzPro is an awesome platform. This January, I think it'll be I want to say third year. Yeah, I want to say beginning of third year over there. And it's great. I mean, it's a great bunch of people. It's advertised as a platform to show off Blizzard news, of course, naturally, but also allow individuals to have a platform to show off their own original creative content, as well as be a hosting platform for podcasts like Westmarch Workshop, The Payload, Heroes Power Hour. Not actually a podcast, it's audio only, Arcane Analysis, and I almost forgot the last one, Well Met. So it's a great platform for all those podcasts. The only podcast we don't have right now is for StarCraft, and well, StarCraft is essentially over. It's basically in long-term.
Don't say that at BlizzCon, you'll be killed.
Well, I'll say this: it's in long-term maintenance esports mode. I mean, and that's where it was for a while. Then StarCraft 2 came out, all the 3 parts came out, and now it's back in that mode. Yeah. It's nothing to be really, I say, angry about or raise your fists in internet anger. That's just where it is. And actually, technically, for a game like that, that's better, because then they get focused on the finer tweaks of the game, make sure everything is balanced, rather than like, oh, we have 100 different things to do because we're adding another campaign. We can just narrowly focus on this. So technically, that's better.
Well, speaking
Um,
of ancient games, just before we got together this evening, I was playing uh, Diablo 2: Lord of Destruction because
were you?
I've become one of those periodic subscribers to WoW. So I subscribed for a couple months,
Oh,
and
you're one.
now I've kind of gone into um, cocoon for another month or so, probably till after BlizzCon. And I had that same end of the season feeling about Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
And well, those are the only two current games I play. So my default is to go back to Diablo 2, which is really my hometown uh, Blizzard game. So,
Yeah.
so I sympathize with all those who are on maintenance, like palliative care. Until they die or a miracle cure is found, they're just going to be hanging on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fortunately, unfortunately.
So, what are you doing with BlizzPro now?
All right. So through it all started when I fixed up an overlay because at the time on the West Mercer Workshop, it was Archon and Nine Ball, and they had I don't know, I think it was Archon had hastily made an overlay for when Leave Leviathan came on the podcast, and it creatively annoyed the out of me because like the overlay wasn't equal. It was a hack job. I'm like, I could do better than this. And I was watching the show, but I wasn't paying attention. It was like television. I was watching through the live stream at the time. Like, how can I fix this? Where? And at the time, I have a huge reservoir of custom and old school graphics from alpha dumps and everything. So I have like my own personal graphics art repository. If I use the right one, I'm never quite sure of the terms.
It's not a suppository; it's a repository. I think you're onto something there.
Yes. Um, so I had that, and then I created the overlay. I'm like, this is better. My eye is not going to kill me every time I watch this. I emailed it off to the show, and then that became my unintentional, unwilling interview process to become the main graphic artist for BlizzPro. Because then at the time, Aldorian
Yeah.
shot me an email, said, "Hey, you did this for the Westman's Workshop. Would you mind being?" I'm like, "Oh, sure?" Question mark. Yes, yes. Okay, sure. Let's do this.
And
And
it
it's
is
been
beautiful. It's just I don't know how many versions you've gone through to get to where you are now, but that it's
that's
beautiful
the
when
sixth version.
it's in screensaver mode, I might call it, when it's in intro screen mode, and when it's active. It's all great. No
Uh,
distracting information. It's all pertinent, and it's very very Diablo. Just to
uh,
confirm, this is a Diablo 3 podcast that Nine Ball and Leviathan do for BlizzPro. It's
yes.
really nice. Very
No,
nice.
they're doing StarCraft. No, I kid. I kid. I kid. But yeah, so I've done. So at the time, I did all four of the main podcasts that are live streamed, and I did overlays for all of them, and I did like the iTunes album cover work, like almost like anything, like the feature image, well, basically anything you can think of for a site and social media, I did, and I wanted to do that because I evolved, as I said before. If there was a way to add something to the community of a game outside of it, it helps keep me going that much longer. And I evolved that to where it doesn't necessarily have to be the game itself. It could just be the community itself. So if I'm playing a game, yeah, I don't have to necessarily be the best at it. But if I can really pour creative energy, and that's all I've actually really wanted, and it took a long time to get there. But as soon as I realized, I'm like, yeah, like I really want to do this graphics work. I wanted to get better at being a graphic artist and do better work, but not just for myself, but for others. Like have them come to me with an idea and be able to nail it on the first or second try, and just see how overjoyed they are. And I've had a couple of really great opportunities over the years to do that and have those experiences. Um, but it's really great, and I really love that people really do appreciate the work that I've done for them, and they take joy. And I feel great that I'm at that caliber of level, because there's always that: am I good enough? Am I doing the right thing? Are they gonna like it? Are they gonna
Mhm.
be on the same level with this idea? And more times than not, they are. And if the one or two times that they aren't, is I can get close enough that I can give them the idea as like a seed, like here's your seed, you can take it to somebody else, and then they nail it from there. That's all I ever really want. Like I just want the person that I'm doing something for to be happy, and it's been great. And I've done like personal overlays now. I'm a Leviathan. I've done his Nine Ball. I've done some work for other members of the BlizzPro team, like their personal stuff and personal projects. So it's always great to see help enable people to do stuff for themselves and grow themselves. So that's good enough for me at the end of the day.
Does this relate to your 9 to 5 work at all, or I'm going to suppose that BlizzPro does not provide a living wage for you. They give you cookies and beer at BlizzCon, most likely.
Getting Eldorian's Apple Pie Moonshine at BlizzCon is my payment, and it's
Yes,
a good payment.
annually.
But it does not pay the bills. It does not
No.
keep the heating oil in the house, as I am discovering is expensive. Uh, um, but no, my 9 to 5, to keep it short, is I'm a mechanical engineer, not actual engineer. That's what the bachelor's degree is. Because once you understand what it takes to become an engineer, you cry a little bit inside and
Yes.
realize, wait, this is essentially like becoming a doctor all of a sudden.
Hey,
But I
don't
do.
put down driving trains. I know what engineers do, so don't try to.
Well, that's a different engineer altogether.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, so I'm a mechanical engineer. I do design and drafting work for an engineering firm. We do primarily petrochemical equipment. Basically, it's FCC work. It's basically equipment that helps either filter out and or stop chemical reactions for petrochemicals.
Mm.
So if a refinery, because this is specifically refinery equipment, if it is trying to make mainly gasoline, they have a certain process and they have equipment, and then I draw up the equipment. So I do like drawing packages, and there could be anywhere between 15 to 50 drawings in a
Mm.
package drawing. In fact, I'm bringing my work computer to BlizzCon, so if I catch you, or if you catch me in the hotel room, wink, wink, I could show you my work. Yeah, we had a
Your
little moment.
etchings. All
Yeah,
right. So,
I just
so
want to look at all. I mean, it's AutoCAD work, so it's basically 2D sketching, but it's essentially the same thing as doing like old school line art in like Publisher that you do. So there are actually a lot of parallels, and there have been sometimes I've actually drawn stuff in AutoCAD because I have precise line movements, and then
yes.
taken an image, brought it into Photoshop, and just recreated it in Photoshop. There have been instances I've done that.
Now that you've mentioned that, I'm looking at my old logo, which if people were to look at the YouTube, it sits at the bottom center of the screen, and now suddenly, where before I didn't see it, now I'm seeing ragged edges on the corner of the logo. It's starting to bug me. So I'll be sitting here, I'll be talking to you, but I'll be, as you said, talking through you because I'll be so hypnotized looking at the errors on the bottom. Well, okay, so how many times, turning to BlizzCon, how many times have you been to BlizzCon now? What will this be the number of? What will be the counting of this year?
this will be, in Blizzard terms, this will be my sword year. This will be my 5th year going.
Oh, nice. I think we're twins then. This will be my 5th year of going too.
Oh, precious.
Everyone, take a drink. Another coinkydink. So, do you? The musical entertainment is always love it, hate it, or well, I kind of put up with it, but I didn't really go. What's been your favorite, and what's your expectation for this year? Are you gonna see Muse? Or are you gonna pass on Muse?
um, what? See, my thing with the music entertainment is I I don't think there's ever been a year. Okay, no, no. Blink 182, no, just no. I'm like I was happy when the whole fad ended with boy bands. No, definitely no. I'm sighing because I was stupid. My second year, Metallica was playing, and I was like really bummed because there were so many people from the Diablo community that were supposed to go, but got KO'd either by health issues, by job issues, or by just they were planning on and then like something happened. Like I think there were supposed to be like 10 people who were supposed to go, and each one of them got KO'd from going for different reasons. So there really wasn't anyone there, and I didn't. When you're there by yourself, like truly by yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
that was the year I was like, yeah, it's exciting, but like I tried to make the best of it, and I didn't go to see Metallica playing, and I look back at it as
Yeah.
like my biggest BlizzCon mistake because I bet you, if it wasn't for that, I would say Metallica would have been my number one, but since I actually didn't go, that probably doesn't count. So Linkin Park is probably my best because it was just awesome just to. Even if I was at the concert, they have the screens throughout the entire
Yeah,
arena,
yeah.
so you actually don't have to be there. You can just look at the screen and you hear it throughout the. It's hugely loud. So if they were about getting like trampled. So that was fun. I was walking around with a group of friends, and they were like lip syncing and moving around and like doing like a little dancing. So it was fun by itself. So Linkin Park is probably the favorite. Definitely, uh, whatever Blink 182. They were at the lowest end of the totem pole. I would actually put Weird Al second because that was fun. His Word Crimes song, I still like that song better than the original. Um, Muse, I've heard some. I know of a lot of their songs, but I don't particularly listen to them. If it's like one of those things that comes up in a random shuffle, so be it. Uh, but I don't think I'll actually be trying to see it. But do the same thing with Linkin Park. It's playing in the background and everything. Take a load off because there's other things going on afterwards. So it's actually good. And since it's the last night, you have to remember if you know a bunch of people like we do, you're gonna party like 3 o'clock at night. So it's actually good to kind of like leave, take a break, get some water, get something to eat, because you have to get ready for drinking. Because that Hilton bar, even with
Prep
the
time.
DJ popping, yeah, you still go to the Hilton bar and you start drinking because that's what you do at the Hilton bar. You drink.
Well, I had a thought. It went away. Oh,
Sorry.
story time with Wyatt, um, which is a kind of a small informal event uh, that's very Diablo oriented, at least in the past. And I've never been to this. I just hear about it. What can you tell me about story time with Wyatt?
We keep it secret. We keep it safe.
Don't worry,
Which,
no one's listening
which,
or watching.
which is kind of said half jokingly, but also half seriously because uh, Wyatt almost because it's not an official deal.
Right.
That has to be first thing said. Storytime with Wyatt is not an official BlizzCon thing. So there are certain. It's kind of like Fight Club in a way. There are certain unwritten rules that we do not break, and we have not broken them. And this will be the 4th year.
Okay.
And
Well,
it's
don't
and
break
it,
any. Don't break any because you
it's
might be exiled.
I mean, essentially, I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, we've always talked about it after the fact.
Yeah.
But I mean, the biggest thing is, it's like it's actually just more panel time in a way. Like you can ask a question and he'll give, like you'll give him a question and then he'll go 2 steps backwards to to development of what you asked, the
Hmm.
pitfalls or issues that they had, which may actually be part of the original question you asked, and then the actual answer. So the reason why we love it is because you get like a 10-minute answer, which sounds really horrible, but you gain so much more insight, and it's something that's really special, and everyone who goes and knows about it and knows where to go. Uh,
Okay.
which you
That's
should.
the whole other issue.
It's like if you see him on the video, I'm doing the shifty eyes. Has not been stipulated, and I will not say. If you want to, you can just have to find the right people to ask. Um,
No problem. I don't want to get you in trouble. You've worked your way way up to Moonshine Brother, and I don't want to get you in exile.
yeah,
Okay,
but
so we're done with that. You can't talk about it anymore, or else we're both in trouble.
I have to stipulate, like it's honestly just more answers, and we don't record it.
Yeah.
No one records it. No one posts it because that's what keeps it special. The moment you record it, it's like, okay, anyone can see this, and then it kind of kills it for me. So the moment it's one of those things that if you were there, you were there. You remember what was asked, the funny moments, and yes, there are CMs there to stop Wyatt from going too far. So it's not like he
Muzzle.
just that doesn't appear at BlizzCon. So it's not like there's any insider information.
That's
All right,
awesome.
I've said enough. I'm done.
Okay, you said too much. Where do you want your mail delivered? What's your new prison address in
I don't know,
the
but
Westmarch dungeon? I guess I don't know.
yeah, I was about to say, like, I feel a noose going around my neck all of a sudden. It's really tightening.
Well, what else are you looking forward to? Now we know you have a mediocre response towards Muse. Uh, what else do you enjoy never missing?
Uh, well, okay. There's story time with Wyatt. There's other things with people that we don't discuss. Um, I never miss a Diablo panel, and then depending on the year, wherever time allows, it's okay. Either get a lot of demo action in, or this year since Diablo has community panel, visual effects for the Necromancer, and that's basically 1 hour total of the weekend. Um, I think I'll actually hit up a few of the WoW panels this year because it's all but guaranteed there's going to be a WoW expansion. I mean, there was stuff
Yeah.
tonight that kind of led more credence to it. So I always try to get like the main WoW panel because even though I don't play WoW, I love the lore of WoW. So I still feel a need to keep going with it and still at least following the story progression because I would say minus the one or two or half a dozen continuity errors, they actually have a really good storyline going on because it's multi-expansion storyline. It doesn't really start end. It's been this continuous deal. So I love it for that. But other than that, it's just being my 5th year and already looking ahead to next year going, I may not make it next year due to circumstances. Um, I just love being with the community, being with the personalities that you only get to see when you're there. There's about a dozen to a dozen and a half people that always tend to be there within the Westmarch Workshop community or the greater BlizzPro community or just the community managers or other Blizzard people or developers that you get to meet. And after you go a couple of years, if you can really meet and have conversations and grow your group every time you go, that becomes your drug fix. Like you're itching. Like I gotta go. I gotta meet these people again. I gotta have that good time. I gotta have my
Jonesing.
proverbial gotta have my proverbial like week in Vegas, but it's BlizzCon. Like, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Especially this year with me. There's been like 5 or 6 obligated like family vacations, celebrations, and
You've done your bit, huh?
like and BlizzCon is like the last vacation I have to take, and it's like gonna be like I'm happy it's the last one. That's gonna be the probably one of the funnest ones I've done, and I'm just like happy for this year to be almost over, and just looking forward to next year and just it being like quiet, hopefully. So yeah, that's it for now.
Well, just one last area topic. Uh, in the around, other than the Hilton Bar, uh, where else have you gone? What else have you enjoyed in the environs, sort of off campus? Have you gone anywhere, or have you stayed on campus, so to speak?
um, we we primarily stay on campus. I would say about half the time, which is still a lot. Because we usually stay for about 6 or 7 days.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, as the mysterious wife enters the room.
Mysterious wife. Yeah, my mysterious wife should be home fairly soon, so we'll probably have to go towards wrapping up as well.
Yeah.
You're giving her
Hi.
the eyebrows.
I'm giving her a look. Like, please, honey, can you give me 5 more minutes?
Can I play? Can I go play with Hog?
Please.
It's one of those it's like you gotta check out this part of the video anyway. Not aggro, just hi
Yeah.
honey, are you almost off that silly computer again?
No, but she's a gamer too.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
supportive.
yeah. So
At
I
least
guess
compassionate.
yes. Uh, I'll have to make her coffee afterwards. That's my penalty.
That's cool.
But chips and tricks and off campus. Roscoe's Chicken and
Yeah,
Waffles.
yeah.
It's
Down the street, easy walk.
yeah, it's like a third to a half of a mile walk. It's worth it. You feel re- reinvigorated after having a meal there. Like I cannot stress that enough. It's totally better than IHOP in every regard you could imagine. Doing escape rooms, which are local enough, are a great way to do something completely different than Blizzard gaming. Like you just get away, you do something physical. You feel like you're still working your mind. You have a great experience. So look up some escape rooms around the area. What else is there? Even though it's still technically on campus, the absolute explosion of pre-con parties. Like the Wowhead party was always really there. Twitch, I think, has just recently kind of been there. I don't know if they're officially having a party this year. Um,
Well, it may be one of those parties that you and I aren't invited to. It
yeah,
may even be more exclusive than that gathering with Wyatt.
oh, baby. Um, but yeah, but then there's also Calm Before the Storm. There's the CTR party. There's DitchCon, and I think there's another, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's been great to see all those parties like start, and then they just balloon to where the amount of people that go to these things is a good portion of the people who go to the BlizzCon itself. I think several thousand people go to these individual parties, and I think BlizzCon this year was slated to be anywhere between 20 and 30,000
Yeah.
people. So that's still a hefty percentage of the people who are going, rotating through all these parties. So you have to go there. Of course, the Hilton Bar. And if you want a bar, but you don't want all the DJ nonsense for all the younger kids, hop over to the Marriott Bar because you're going to pay the same amount of money, actually get more liquor, and it's quiet. So that's a tip and a trick for you right there.
And they do have a better beer selection for sure.
Yes. Uh,
And
but
just the rundown on the nights of the party. DitchCon, and all these are free. DitchCon is Wednesday night, so it's like the kickoff party.
yeah,
Thursday is Con Before the Storm, and all these are like 7 or 8 o'clock until 11 or something.
like 11 or midnight.
And whatever time they stop, officially, the party then moves downstairs to the Hilton Bar. So don't worry about having nothing to do at the end of the evening. There's always something at the end of the evening. It's the end of the bar. And let me see. And then Friday night is the Convert to Raid party, which again is very free, and it's a great mixer. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
Friday night. Um, if you go to the BlizzCon Bottle Share, that's a group for um, sharing alcohol, and they've rented out a little banquet room at a nearby hotel. But the way you connect with them is getting into their closed Facebook, but they readily let you in, but they just try to monitor it a little bit. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then usually on Sunday there's nothing specific going on, although a lot of people do go to Disney, don't they?
I was about to say, yeah, Sunday's kind of like the Disneyland / medieval times day,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, before either of us is further interrupted by our spousal units, I
which we
suggest
love dearly. We
we
do.
I suggest we make good our escape and say see you soon. 25, maybe about 2 weeks, huh? What time? What day do you get in? Your
I get
gang of
in.
10.
I get in. I get in nice and early on November 1st, so it's actually 2 weeks from today for me.
Woohoo! That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay,
Yeah.
and I will point out for the visual observers, I'm wearing my American Red Cross T-shirt. My two passions, and I don't include work. Well, I better include my family too, but otherwise, it's gaming and the American Red Cross. I volunteer with them, and um, I'll be on my way up to Santa Rosa to respond to the fires up there as far as the mental health recovery. So feel
Mm-hmm.
free to donate to the Red Cross, and feel free to also follow Dredscythe. And first, what is your uh, Twitter contact?
It's at Dredscythe.
And how does one spell Dredscythe?
Oh, yes, because I have to be a special person. It's Dredseythe.
Okay, so it's slightly unconventional dread and a conventional scythe. Is that right? Fair to say?
I have to remember that, yes.
Yeah. A 1Z, 2Ms, that's Zazm on your phone. And uh, are you doing commissions for dollar cash payment for things like overlays and such? Have you crossed that barrier yet?
Yeah, every once in a while, as long as it's not needed yesterday and can be flexible on items, yes, sure. Just about give me like 2 weeks after BlizzCon, and then I'll
Okay.
be I'll be ready to accept things at that particular point.
Excellent. Okay, well, as you point out, I'll see you in about 2 weeks because I'm going to take the whole week off myself.
Oh, great! Can't wait to
So,
see everyone there.
so much, so much. Okay, bye bye.